So, you're thinking about packing up and heading to Texas? Hold your horses. Before you grab those cowboy boots and dream of endless barbecue, there are some realities you need to hear. Texas isn't just wide open land, booming cities, it also has towns that can make you regret signing that lease. Welcome to the top 10 Texas towns you should avoid moving to, aka the relocation guide you didn't know you needed. Sure, you've seen the highlight reels, booming skylines, affordable land, and videos selling you on the Texas pros and cons. But here's the flip side. Some towns are stuck in cycles of poverty, rising crime, and infrastructure that makes daily life a struggle. These aren't the places you'll see on glossy, best cities to move to lists. Yet, somehow, they sneak their way in. Think twice before loading that U-Haul. Whether you're chasing big dreams or just craving a fresh start, our channel is here with the unfiltered truth about relocating to the hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into the countdown. Number 10. Odessa. Odessa. The word alone screams oil country. Big trucks, fast money, and dreams as wide as the West Texas sky. But when the oil bust hits, Odessa feels less like opportunity and more like a hangover you can't shake. This boomtown is like riding a bull blindfolded, thrilling for a moment, until it tosses you hard. The economy here lives and dies by oil prices, making Odessa one of the most unstable places to settle in Texas. In 2023, the unemployment rate floated around 5.5%, well above the state average of 4%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And if the job loss doesn't get you, the crime might. Odessa has consistently ranked among the top 10 most dangerous Texas cities for violent crime, clocking in at 598 incidents per 100,000 people, nearly double the national average, according to FBI uniform crime reports. Daily life doesn't exactly balance it out. Schools here are overcrowded, underfunded, and struggling to meet state benchmarks. The Texas Education Agency even gave several campuses poor accountability ratings in 2023. Roads? A disaster. The potholes could double as swimming pools. And nightlife? Think Netflix and cry, rather than live music or thriving arts. High school football is the highlight, but that's about as exciting as it gets. The housing market mirrors the oil roller coaster. In boom years, prices soar, rents spike, and bidding wars break out. In bust years, for sale, signs spread like weeds, values plummet, and vacancy rates climb. Imagine tying your entire financial future to the next OPEC decision. That's life in Odessa. So here's the question. Do you want to raise a family in a city where industries disappear overnight and schools limp along? Or gamble your savings on a housing market built on booms and busts? Odessa may have grit, but living here means your entire future can collapse just as quickly as the rigs. Number 9. Texarkana. Next up, Texarkana. Ever been to a place so confused about its identity it feels like it's having an existential crisis? Welcome to Texarkana, half Texas, half Arkansas, and fully tangled in problems. Crime is the headline here. Texarkana ranks 6th in Texas for property crime, with over 3,200 incidents per 100,000 residents, almost double the national average, per the FBI's 2023 crime data. Burglaries, car break-ins, drug-related thefts, it's all on the menu. Locals say they know their neighbors as much by their names as by the sound of their car alarms at 2 a.m. Schools don't offer relief either. Graduation rates sit below 80%, with funding gaps you could drive a semi-truck through. Speaking of semis, trucking is one of the only industries that consistently provides jobs here. Add warehouse gigs, fast food chains, and the occasional casino spillover from the Arkansas side, and you've got an economy limping along. Healthcare access? patchy at best. For specialized care, residents often cross the state line or face long waits at local clinics. Infrastructure? Let's just say if you love potholes, cracked sidewalks, and endless detours, Texarkana has you covered. On the surface, the historic downtown and two cities, one community slogans sound charming. But scratch that surface and you'll find poverty, crime, and stagnation pulling the town backward while other Texas cities race ahead. So ask yourself, why settle in a place where even the welcome signs don't know which side you belong to? Does being split between two states double your opportunity, or just double your problems? Number 8. Lufkin. Heading into East Texas, meet Lufkin. Pine trees stretching for miles, sweet tea in every diner, and small-town charm that looks perfect on a postcard. But behind the hospitality lies some harsh truths. Start with poverty. Nearly 21% of residents live below the poverty line, compared to the Texas average of 14%, according to the U.S. Census Bureau 2023. For a town of just 35,000, crime runs surprisingly high. Property crime hovers near 3,000 incidents per 100,000 people. And while violent crime isn't off the charts, it's significant for a community that prides itself on small-town values. Translation: your porch light isn't decorative, it's security. Healthcare is another sore spot. The local hospital has faced ongoing staff shortages, and specialized care often means driving 2 hours to Houston. Imagine needing a cardiologist and realizing your road trip playlist is part of the appointment. Social life? If your great-grandfather didn't ranch cattle, log timber, or work at the mill, you'll likely be considered an outsider for decades. Lufkin has a tight-knit, almost closed-circle vibe. Newcomers rarely shake off the "new folks" label. The job market isn't much better. Timber and manufacturing still anchor the economy, but growth has been sluggish for years. The median household income sits around $48,000, well below the Texas median of $73,000, per the Texas Workforce Commission. Young people often leave after high school, chasing better opportunities elsewhere, leaving behind an aging population and shrinking tax base. So, the question: would you trade big city stress for small-town life if it comes with stagnant wages, healthcare headaches, and a social circle that never really lets you in? Lufkin is beautiful on the surface, but that beauty masks some serious cracks. Number 7. Port Arthur. Once upon a time, Port Arthur was the shining star of the Texas Gulf Coast, a gritty industrial hub powered by its refineries, shipping lanes, and hard-working blue-collar backbone. Fast forward to today, and it feels like you've walked onto the set of a comeback movie where no one ever bothered to yell, "Action!" Hurricane Harvey's wrath in 2017 devastated the city, inflicting billions in damages. Years later, scars still remain. Poverty runs deep here, with nearly 27% of residents living below the poverty line, almost double the Texas average of 14%, U.S. Census Bureau, 2023. On paper, housing seems dirt cheap, with the median home value sitting at $63,500, Zillow, 2024. But that bargain often comes with mold infestations, structural damage, or locations in flood-prone neighborhoods. Port Arthur's economic lifeline is oil and gas. The refineries keep people employed, but they also blanket the air in toxic emissions, earning the city one of the highest pollution ratings in the country. Locals jokingly call it the Port Arthur perfume, but it's a scent nobody really wants bottled. Job diversification? Almost non-existent. When fossil fuel markets slump or another hurricane hits, layoffs ripple across the community like aftershocks. Median household income barely breaks $39,000 a year, compared to Texas's $73,000 average. Reliable remote work isn't a solution either. Internet infrastructure is patchy, with some areas still struggling for consistent high-speed access. Public schools? Underfunded and underperforming. Several campuses have faced state intervention in recent years, leaving parents worried not just about storm damage and air quality, but whether their children are receiving an adequate education at all. And then there's the looming specter of climate change. Rising sea levels and increasingly violent hurricanes make living here feel like gambling with Mother Nature's dice. Here's the question: do you want to build your life in a place where your best emergency plan is simply hope? Where job security depends on the price of crude oil, and the affordable home you buy might flood tomorrow? Port Arthur has grit, yes, but sometimes grit alone can't hold back the tides. Number 6. Balch Springs. Cruise into Balch Springs and you might immediately wonder, is this Dallas's forgotten backyard, or just a city that never quite finished what it started? Tucked southeast of Dallas, this town is stuck in a tug-of-war between promise and decline is winning. Crime here isn't just a nuisance, it's a headline. Violent crime rates are 68% higher than the national average, Neighborhood Scout, 2024. Assaults, robberies, and burglaries weigh down the community, leaving many residents anxious after dark. Public services are stretched thin, infrastructure is crumbling, and sidewalks, potholes, and failing streetlights leave entire neighborhoods looking more like a horror set than a suburb of one of America's fastest-growing metro areas. Schools don't fare much better. In 2023, only 59% of Balch Springs ISD students met grade-level standards in reading and math, Texas Education Agency. That's far below the state average, forcing many parents into a tough choice: stick with underfunded public schools or scrape together funds for private options. The job market offers little relief. Yes, Dallas is nearby, but many residents face long commutes while local employment sputters. Unemployment hovers at just above 6%, and many families cope by juggling 2 or 3 low-wage jobs just to make ends meet. The median household income reflects this economic struggle, landing well below the state median. Ask locals, and they'll tell you they remember when things felt promising here. But today, the atmosphere is one of frustration, a place where dreams shrink to match the city limits. The roads break down faster than the welcome signs, and revitalization feels more like patchwork than progress. So here's the real question: do you want to save money on housing only to pay the price in safety, crumbling infrastructure, and limited opportunities? Balch Springs could have been a thriving suburb riding Dallas's growth wave. Instead, it feels like the place Dallas left behind. Number 5. Huntsville. Welcome to Huntsville, where the bars on the windows aren't just home security, they're part of the local economy. This is the town dominated by prisons, most notably the Texas State Penitentiary, also known as the Walls Unit. Correctional facilities shape nearly every aspect of life here, from jobs to community culture. About half the local jobs are tied to the prison system. Correctional officers, administrators, or support services orbit the system like planets around the sun. The median household income hovers around $38,000, U.S. Census Bureau, 2023, nearly half the state's average of $73,000. Translation: you're working hard, but the paycheck feels locked up right alongside the inmates. Outside corrections, opportunities are slim. Sam Houston State University and a scattering of small businesses provide some employment, but job diversity is weak. Unemployment floats near 5.8%, and many residents leave town for career growth elsewhere. Everyday life carries a heavy law enforcement presence: prison buses, barbed wire fences, patrol cars. They're woven into the city's backdrop. It's one thing to value public safety. It's another to live in a place where execution dates hit the local news more often than high school sports scores. Schools have their struggles too. Several campuses sit below state averages in academic performance, despite efforts to improve. Home prices, at about $190,000, look reasonable at first glance, but growth stagnates because few families dream of raising kids in a prison town. So here's the decision point. Are you okay raising your children in a place where razor wire is part of the skyline? Where the biggest employer is a maximum security facility? Huntsville has resilience and a close-knit community, no doubt, but sometimes the line between living freely and living in a cage feels far too thin. Number 4. Donna. Welcome to Donna, Texas, a town often called the heart of the valley, though these days it feels like a heart running on fumes. Tucked deep in the Rio Grande Valley, Donna is brimming with potential. But potential doesn't pay the bills, and here, the bills pile high. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 2023, the median household income is less than $34,000, and the poverty rate is a staggering 32%, one of the highest in Texas. A walk through Donna tells the story clearly: shuttered storefronts, cracked sidewalks, and streets that look like they've been waiting decades for repair. Infrastructure upgrades are more of a talking point than a reality, and residents have learned to adopt a make-do attitude. Water systems are aging, roads are chronically neglected, and heavy rains often turn into flash floods thanks to outdated drainage. Education is another uphill battle. The school district struggles with funding shortfalls, staff shortages, and consistently low test scores compared to state averages. Families often search for alternatives, but with better schools located miles away, choices are limited. Then there's the reality of life on the border. Donna sits near the US-Mexico line, putting it at the center of security debates and political tension. Immigration crackdowns, checkpoints, and patrol presence are part of everyday life. Commutes can mean passing armed officers, and school lockdowns triggered by nearby smuggling operations are not rare events, they're Tuesday. The job market leans heavily on agriculture, warehousing, and other low-wage service jobs. While locals dream of tech or manufacturing investment, those dreams remain distant. Homes are affordable, averaging $85,000, but that affordability comes at a price: underdeveloped neighborhoods, limited healthcare access, and few recreational opportunities. So, ask yourself, would you stake your family's future on a town still waiting for basic upgrades, still mired in poverty, and still chasing an economic turnaround that never seems to arrive? Donna's people are hardworking and proud, but the road ahead here is rough, uneven, and uncertain. Number 3. Palm View. Right next door to Donna is Palm View. Think of it as Donna's quieter, equally stressed sibling. On the surface, crime rates here are lower, which sounds like a win. But don't be fooled. Economic hardship still hangs thick in the air, like the Texas heat in August. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 2023, more than 25% of Palm View's residents live below the poverty line. The median household income is just $36,000, nearly half the state average of $73,000. Jobs are concentrated in agriculture, small retail shops, and service industries. While nearby McAllen offers some employment, commuting is expensive, and not everyone has reliable transportation. Amenities are slim. Parks and recreational spaces are limited, entertainment options are nearly non-existent, and dining is mostly small family-run restaurants. Charming, yes, but variety is something you'll have to drive for. Healthcare? Patchy at best. Specialized care often requires leaving town, adding more costs and stress. Rapid population growth over the past decade hasn't been matched with infrastructure investment. Roads are riddled with potholes, drainage is poor, and utilities are stretched thin. Residents regularly voice frustrations at city council meetings, but progress moves at a crawl. Ambition here often runs into walls, not because people lack drive, but because opportunity is scarce. Young people leave in search of education and careers, leaving behind an aging community and shrinking tax base. The real question: would you put down roots in a town where the ladder to success is missing rungs? Palm View has heart, no doubt, but moving here is like signing up for a marathon with no water stations and no clear finish line. Number 2. Paris. Paris, Texas. The name itself conjures images of sipping coffee under twinkling lights, snapping a selfie by a tiny Eiffel Tower, complete with a cowboy hat perched on top. Quirky charm aside, beneath the surface lies a town wrestling with deep challenges. Unemployment hovers around 6%, higher than the state average, Texas Workforce Commission, 2023. Even if you land a job, wages are another obstacle. The median household income sits at $44,000, far below the state's $73,000. Families live stretched thin, and stability feels out of reach. The job market relies on manufacturing, retail, and healthcare support roles. But with factory closures over the last decade, job security is shaky. Infrastructure adds to the strain: crumbling roads, aging water systems, and potholes that could hide a small dog. Public schools struggle too, with several campuses underperforming on state assessments. Teachers often dip into their own pockets just to keep classrooms stocked. Then there's the social climate, something you won't see on a tourist brochure. Racial tensions linger beneath the surface, shaping local politics, policing, and even school dynamics. For newcomers from more diverse urban centers, it can feel isolating. As for lifestyle, options are slim. Beyond a small historic downtown and occasional community events, weekend activities are limited. Many young people head for Dallas, about 100 miles away, for school or work, leaving behind an aging population and shrinking resources. So, here's the reality. Paris offers small-town charm on the outside, but tension and stagnation underneath. That cowboy hat Eiffel Tower is cute, but it can't hide the cracks beneath. Number 1. Orange. At the top of the list sits Orange, Texas. Not because of citrus groves, but because this town has been battered by hurricanes, economic downturns, and years of neglect. Nearly 30% of residents live in poverty, and the median household income is just $41,000, U.S. Census Bureau, 2023. Hurricane Harvey in 2017 and Hurricane Laura in 2020 tore the city apart, and even now, recovery feels like an endless uphill battle. For many, rebuilding homes isn't the hardest part. It's rebuilding lives with limited government support and delayed aid. The economy leans on petrochemicals, but layoffs and plant closures have left Orange in economic whiplash. Unemployment sits above 7%, and job diversity is almost non-existent. If you're not at the refinery or commuting to Beaumont, you're likely stuck in unstable, low-wage service jobs. The infrastructure tells its own story: roads buckled by floods, public spaces showing decades of wear, and schools underfunded and understaffed. Families fear not just poor performance, but whether the schools can keep their doors open. Environmental risks loom largest. Orange is on the front lines of climate change. Rising seas, stronger storms, and a weakened levee system mean hurricane season isn't just a season, it's a lifestyle. Residents live in a constant state of preparation, hoping each storm won't be the one that wipes them out for good. So here's the question: would you risk your family's safety and future on a place where survival itself feels like a full-time job? Orange is resilient, but grit only goes so far when nature, the economy, and underinvestment keep stacking the odds against you. And there you have it, the top 10 Texas towns you may want to avoid if you're planning a move. Texas is big on charm and opportunity, but as we've seen, not every corner is paved with promise. If this countdown opened your eyes, don't forget to hit like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel for more unfiltered relocation advice across the United States. Until next time, choose wisely, travel smart, and I'll see you in the next countdown.